and so they think, well, that just means it's mine and I can do what I want. But that's not true. Do I recommend that people do that? Yes.
So it would only be recorded if it was tax exempt piece of property within that person's land.
Well,
Designated.
it will, sometimes it will say in the deed that, with the exception of a cemetery, they just don't section it off. So yeah, you check the deeds. The thing is if I've got a GPS coordinate for it and it's in my system, I know it's there.
So do you have a GPS for all of the ones in your system already?
I have, for 32,000 cemeteries, I think about 2/3 of them I've got GPS coordinates for. And you will be able to see the map soon if Patrick will ever let me do the unveiling. He wants it to be big!
I don't blame Patrick, I would want it to be big too.
Oh, he's the director of the. No, I don't blame him, but we lost our press person recently, and so he's trying to hire another press person so that we can do it properly.
I mean, this is huge. You know, what you're doing is huge.
It's fun.
I know. Remember, I spent 4 years documenting the African American cemeteries in Murray County, so what you're doing is huge.
Well, and let me tell you, I cannot do it myself. It's because of people like you and you. You know, the most I can really do is, and I do this, anytime anybody writes me about a cemetery, I start a file on it, like an e-file. So I like to be a repository for any kind of information people send me on a cemetery. There's going to be a survey 123 where you can submit that information online. Right now you can just email it to me and I'll do that. The thing about the survey 123 is when you fill that out, if it's filled out really, really completely, it's eligible for the state Historic Cemetery Register, which again has not been unveiled yet, but it's coming. But you know, if people send me a map or a cemetery map, file it in a, it's like, oh, thank you for that cemetery, because I get calls all the time, and people are like, do you know anything about so and so cemetery? And with 32,000 cemeteries, the answer is probably not. However, you do. I can either refer them to you if I know you exist, or you can send me the stuff, and I'm like, oh, here's some stuff so-and-so sent me, then I can get them in touch with you, and I have the information as well. I rely on y'all. Yes?
My hometown in cemeteries, it's just a whole thing apparently. But there are a couple people that I know who have buried a loved one just randomly at their house, like in recent years. Look. It's interesting.
You can do it.
Like, do you, one, I think you should have, a big campaign so, people know about you.
Oh, I would like to, yes.
I wouldn't
Trying
know
to figure that out.
about this.
I mean, if you bury somebody in your backyard, let me know. I mean, the health
Oh,
department
it's
will
not
know.
me, do not worry.
I mean, you can bury people in your backyard. It's every municipality has its own rule about that.
It's in West Tennessee, if that tells you anything.
Oh, well, I understand. I lived in Memphis for 15 years. So. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is you don't even have to have a casket or anything. But I would like to know where it is. As a matter of fact, I've got a friend.
I'll give you the road name.
Okay, good. I've got a friend that buried his parents in his backyard, and he's in Whites Creek. And I knew his parents, and his parents were wonderful.
In Davidson County?
Huh?
In Davidson County?
Yeah. But I told him, I said, Raymond, you need to tell me exactly where that cemetery is so I can pin it, because if I don't have a GPS location, if a developer comes and does your property and I don't have, nobody's going to know where your mom and dad are buried. So that's what I always encourage people, friends or enemies, to do.
I heard a story where somebody, they did bury their spouse on their land, but who buried them forgot where it was at.
Yeah.
Is there a way to find it?
There is, however, the less you know, the more expensive it is. Because you can do ground penetrating radar, but the thing is ground penetrating radar is only cost effective if you really kind of know where it is. Otherwise, you could just be sticking holes in the ground everywhere. And for those of you, I know that people use dowsing to find graves, and I'm telling you this, I'm not discounting it, but it will not hold up legally in court if somebody challenges you on it, so definitely get real stuff. I'm not saying dowsing's not, I'm just saying that there are a lot of people that are doing it, and it's like, there's a lot of evidence that shows that, you know, if you're in a cemetery and you know you're in a cemetery, and when you douse, you've got a 50% chance of finding a grave. Now, like I said, I hedge my bets. There may be ghosts. There, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not going to doubt things. I just know that I can't recommend it, because if I recommend it and it doesn't hold up in court, then you won't be happy with me. So,
Do you
Yes.
work a lot with groups that want to clean up cemeteries?
Yes.
Or clean the headstones?
in fact, with Stacey Graham at the MTSU does cleaning workshops I think 2 or 3 times a year, and I'm going to start doing them myself. I'm starting off with one in Tullahoma, but it's going to be this fall. So the more and more people that are out there doing that kind of stuff, that's what I'm trying to do, is encourage people that know how to do that to do workshops so they can teach people how to do it, and that way there'll be lots of people in Tennessee that know how to
So
do
like
it.
if I'm in an organization that does that and I talk to you about maybe doing a workshop,
Absolutely.
okay.
Now, here's the thing, if you want me to pay you, you have to become a state vendor. That's okay, I mean, I don't care, as a matter of fact, Mike Alexander in West Tennessee is a cemetery conservator, and I've been in the process right now. His workshops are a lot less expensive than Jonathan Appel's, even though Jonathan Appel's workshops are great. And I would like, because of the prices that he's told me about his workshops, and he knows the same stuff because he's been doing it for years. He knows how to do repairs, things like that. But I'm just really, really encouraged, because the thing is there's not many people that do that kind of stuff or do it right. And these people that have knowledge, like Mike Alexander, need to be passing his knowledge on to other people, and we need to be increasing the number of people that know how to do it in the state.
Well, I'm with the Daughters of the American Revolution. We do some of that. Our chapter hasn't done it in this area,
Mhm.
but we want to explore the potential of doing it, because there's lots of little cemeteries
Oh, yeah.
that are not taken care of, and we have had members go and clean some of them up, I mean, and hauled off trucks loads of
And just
weeds
remember,
and-
you can get Boy Scouts, there's a Boy Scout law in prisons.
One of the things we're doing with the Historic Commission is trying to locate all the cemeteries. Most of them don't have signage up.
Right.
Off road. Can we do that, just put a sign there, or do we have to find and try to get permission and all?
Well, it's one of those weird things. You put a sign on the road, obviously you want to go to your county for it, but, I mean, they
Yeah.
probably won't care, but, you know, I mean, the honest truth is, if a cemetery is a self-contained cemetery, you can put a sign there. In fact, one of the things that we're trying to do with the Historic Register, if your cemetery makes the Historic Register, we're trying to do an official type of sign with the Tennessee Historical Commission logo on it.
You mean the National Register?
Oh no, the National Register is different.
Oh.
See, this is the reason why we have a state register coming up,
Okay.
because it's really hard to get cemeteries on the National Register.
Okay.
Although you can probably get that one.
Yeah.
It's on the website, what qualifies for state registration?
Not yet, but it is. I know what qualifies, but I
So
can
what's the
tell you.
requirement for the one you're talking about?
For mine,
Uh-huh.
I want you to do a darn history, you know,
Okay.
do some research. Don't just say, oh, and this is where my grandfather was buried.
Okay.
That
So you
doesn't
want
tell
the
me
history
anything.
to
Now, I'll
include-
still take that information and I will put it in my information thing, but it's not gonna get you on the state register.
So you want history of the people who buried there?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Absolutely. I want as much detailed information as I can, and I've got a rubric, and the rubric's gonna be up there. I don't remember what it is right now, but, you'll be able to see what.
Oh, that's not an issue.
Now, Mr. Person in the Cubs cap, you had a question.
Is there a process to go through, the proper process for cleaning the headstones?
Yes.
Like a notification of anyone?
Yes, do not buy anything at Home Depot or Lowe's. But, okay, I started off, before I was a cemetery guy, I worked at the Tennessee State Museum. Some of you may have known me from there, I don't know. But one of the things that I found out really quickly when cataloging artifacts is even when you move an artifact just a little bit, you will notice a little flake will come off of it. And if you do that 1,000 times, that's 1,000 little flakes. The fact of the matter is, with headstones, with any kind of artifact, and it's what my old boss Dan Pomeroy at the museum used to say, our job as curators is to prolong the inevitable. The fact is everything is going to go to dust. So what you want to do is cause the least or perhaps no damage as you can to a headstone so that it lasts forever. It is, it's not going to last forever, but, is it going to last 1,000,000 years or is it going to last 5? So, yes, and the cleaning agent people are using now, because it's a biological agent, is called D2. Yeah. And that's what to use.
Is there a proper way to, do we notify anyone of it? It's our family, we have some, like, 5th, 6th generations back that are really bad. You can't read, you barely read the writing.
Yeah, and you know what? I can help you with ways to I can
Is
just
there
talk,
someone
if
that
you.
we have to notify the church, the owners of the cemetery, is there something, or do we just do it on?
If you are, basically you have the right to do it anyway. If you have a family member in a cemetery, you have the right to clean the whole cemetery.
Gotcha.
The people may not like it, but that's okay, because you can call me and I'll help you. I'm not gonna go out and clean. I'm not gonna go out and clean 32,000 cemeteries. That's one of the reasons I also know kind of how to do minor repairs, but I'm trying not to tell anybody that, because I'm afraid they'll be like, oh, come repair my headstone. No.
But Stacy's preservation workshop is excellent. She's been
Yes.
down to Murray County twice. The African American Heritage Society had her down here about 5 years ago to do a cemetery workshop, and it's excellent. And then
I wish there were more of her.
and then she was down here a couple of last year for the Mount Nebo. So her
Yeah.
work is excellent.
She's great. I work with her all the time. I feel bad I haven't been able to go to the last couple of her workshops.
Yeah,
Just to,
she's excellent. So.
Got time for about 2 more questions?
okay, cool. How about you, sir?
I'm a woman, but
Oh, sorry.
it's fine. I give it.
That's only because I'm ridiculous. I always put my foot in my mouth, and that is like just exactly what I do. So go ahead.
I have 2 unmarked graves in Memphis, and I want to know if you can see if you can pin them, because they're not people though; they're pets.
What do you know what cemetery they're in, or are they in their or is it their own cemetery?
Their own cemetery.
Yeah, I definitely want to GPS that if I don't have it.
The first one is at my old neighborhood where I grew up in Bartlett in Valentine Drive, and the other 2 are at Southwind Country Club golf course.
Now, the golf club probably knows about them, but if you will email me and let me know, like, so that I can kind of pin down what property they're on, I might be able
I know
to.
where they are. The 2 are buried beside a tree, I think.
Okay, because what I'll probably do is if you communicate with me, I'll probably like send you a map of that particular area, and you might be able to pinpoint on the map, and then I can get a GPS coordinate. Unless I just go down there and see it, which, I've been traveling the state a lot. I was up on the Appalachian Trail last week. Oh my gosh. That was a 2-day trip. Because
I
it was,
would have to like take a picture of
yes.
the 2 of where my 2 one, so
Mm-hmm,
we're going in June, I think.
excellent.
But I know where my other one in my hometown is buried.
Right. Yeah, I want all that information if you can get it. And, you know, I've got an app on my phone that I can pin a GPS thing. So if somebody takes a phone out there, you can get a GPS app and you can actually pin it there. Sometimes they're not accurate, but if they're close, that's good. Anybody else? One more? Yes, sir.
This is a history question from another state, but it seems the laws are similar enough from what I've heard tonight that perhaps you could help.
Okay.
Late 19th, early 20th century Virginia.
Virginia's got good laws.
Doing a deed track. Found a house, a property, probably a historic property now, with a reference to a cemetery on it.
Mhm.
And the usual verbiage, you gotta allow people to come in, the family can visit, the kinds of things you mentioned. It was mentioned in the deed, it was drawn on the plat.
Right.
2 transactions later, all mention of it and the plat. all
That is
wrong.
very common. That happens I deal with that almost on a weekly basis and, yeah.
What could have happened? I mean, like you said, you must include this information on a deed, and I think it was the same back in that time in
Yeah.
Virginia. They were obsessive about record keeping
Because
at the
like,
state level.
a lot of times locales don't, that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I'm here, is to go around and educate people to do what they're supposed to. But the fact of the matter is that happens a lot. I mean, it just drops off the deed. Sometimes it's intentional, but most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's just people aren't paying attention to what they're doing.
Well, to complicate matters a little bit, not long after, well, between these deeds, the state rerouted the road that went through there. And the road was a property line, and the whole thing now has gone up in some kind of uncertainty. And again, this
Has the road, do you know if the road's gone through the cemetery?
That's what I don't know.
Okay, you need to call the Virginia Department of Transportation. They will have those records. And if they don't know that that cemetery is there, you need to tell them. And you also need to tell, I don't know my Virginia counterpart, but there may be one, I'm sure it's at the Virginia Historical Commission. And call them and let them know that there is that cemetery there and that they're about to build a road through it, because
Well,
they'll,
the road's already been built.
Oh, it's been built?
100 years ago, it was moved, the road was moved,
okay.
and the property boundaries got messed up, and this, I think, is after the cemetery had already disappeared from the last deed.
Well, if the cemetery can be located
Uh-huh.
now, go GPS it, because revive it. Because that's what I spend all my time doing, is trying to make sure these things are on the record. I'm trying to have a state record so that developers and genealogists and whoever needs to know where a cemetery is. I'm trying to make sure that there is no excuse for people to say, well, I didn't know there was a cemetery there. It's like, wow, all you had to do is click on our site.
But Graham, if they go to the county to get their information, will the county tell them to check your database, or?
Right now, probably not. I'm gonna do a massive mailing once this thing gets on there. That's what I'm planning to do.
Because you will have more information.
Yes, but I mean, what I really like to do is and developers come in all the time and look at our maps.
Okay.
So why couldn't they look at my map?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not my map, it's the state of Tennessee.
Yes.
It's the people, it's your map.
Right.
I'm just proud of it. Okay. Okay, I guess I can turn it back over to you, and I'll hang around if y'all have any other questions as
We're gonna have you
well,
come
so.
and do adult story time.
We'll have to have you come and do that story.
And I'm gonna post this presentation online at some point if I ever get time, so.